Everybody, now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the super talented, one of the world's most celebrated illusionists, Mr. Rob Lake. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
Before I get started, let me introduce you to the man behind the boards, Mr. Chad Murphy.
Hey, Rob. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have
And then
you.
we have a chat room full of people, so say hello to everybody in the chat room.
Hey, everybody.
There you go. And if you guys want to follow Rob on Twitter, he's at Rob Lake Magic on Twitter. That's ROBLAKEMAGIC on Twitter. Or you can check out his website. It's roblake.com.
That's me.
There you go. That's you. All right. So tell us a little bit about you as Rob Lake the Illusionist.
Sure. I started doing magic when I was a kid, and now I get to travel all over the world performing my illusions in casinos and theaters and arenas, and actually have one of the largest touring illusion shows in the world right now.
There you go. Congratulations. I read
Thanks.
someplace, or maybe in a bio or something, in 2008 you were the youngest Merlin Award winner ever in history, which is an International Stage Magician of the Year award.
Right. That is like the magic industry's Oscar or Grammy or Tony Award. So it's kind of where the magicians get together, the biggest magic organization in the world, and they nominate a magician every year. And I was the 2008 International Magician of the Year.
Okay. And how old were you if you were the youngest one?
I was 25 then.
There you go. Okay, so 25, and we can do the math. 25 in 2008, and we're in
That's
so
right.
9 years, so you're 34
now. Yeah.
There you go.
That's right.
Okay, and where are you doing shows at the moment?
Next week we take off for Lake Tahoe, where I will be at Harrah's Lake Tahoe for the entire summer. We were there for the winter, and I'm excited to go back for the summer.
So you got an actual residency for the whole summer.
I do.
That's like a big deal for a magician, right?
It is.
I guess illusionist. I'm sorry, I said magician. I should say
they're almost interchangeable for me. So
okay.
You know, an illusionist is a type of magician. So illusionist would be a big stage show like what I do, where we have 4 semi-trucks that take to travel the show around. So it's nice to be parked in a place like Lake Tahoe for the summer, where, as opposed to doing a lot of one-nighters where everything has to be set up and taken down in a matter of hours.
Yeah, which is like nice. And so how many people then do you play for every night?
I think the theater holds around 700.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay. So it's a lot of fun. Do you have? I hear that you have a dog that's part of your whole thing.
I do. You know, the hardest thing about being on the road so much is not having a dog. And so about a year ago, I adopted a rescue dog, and he travels with me. And he even has a couple cameos in the show on the nights he's up to it. And it's made my life so much less stressful and so much better just having him with me all the ways on the road.
It's a Yorkie mutt named Roger.
That's right. Yep.
We actually have 2 rescue dogs, Brandy and Shazam.
And aren't they the best?
They're the best. They're the best, but one of them is Shazam. He's like 130-pound like Brazilian Mastiff, and so he's a little bit harder to handle. It's not like you could just take him around with you everywhere. You know, like you're taking a Yorkie.
Sure.
That works much better. But I love the fact that you dedicate time to animal rescue. So I think that's a really cool thing.
Some of the greatest, friendships in my life have been actually dogs I've had growing up or living with me. So every year I try to do, actually in many places, benefit shows or events where we can support animal rescue groups.
There you go, which I think is fantastic.
Absolutely.
So you have to get him like a brother or sister.
Whenever I'm home, he gets to play with my mom's dog and my sister's dog, my grandparents' dog. And actually, the day I rescued him, my grandparents actually adopted the female he was rescued with too. So he still gets to see his good friends quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, so that's super nice. I like that. Okay, So you were named the top illusionist in the world by Caesars Entertainment, and that's what I read. Now, I'm going off of stuff I saw on your bio, so if anything's wrong, it's you guys'
I mean, I'm pretty humble, so I like to say I'm one of them.
Okay.
I love the industry. There are lots of great people, but it was a big honor whenever I was named one of the top illusionists in the world. They said the top, I say one of.
Okay, so tell us some of the places, because I wrote down you've performed on network television, Times Square, the Vegas Strip, Atlantic City, casinos, arenas, and theaters worldwide, and the White House. Which president?
W.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that was trying to think. That was a long time ago. Earlier on for him, I think.
Okay, that works though. It's a lot of fun. So tell, like, what kind of different TV shows have you been on?
Sure, I've done of course all sorts of talk shows, interview shows, and things all over the world, and some in languages I don't know what the show's called. I did Masters of Illusion on the CW network. I've been on. We recently did Hallmark Channel's Home and Family Show.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter. I retweeted that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You've got a great. You're very active on Twitter. So are all your supporters and fans. That's pretty awesome.
Everybody in the chat room is on Twitter, and then we know them all, and everybody supports. Actually, we all support each other, so it's not just they support me and I support the things that they do too, and it's a lot of fun. It works really well.
Well, I got a lot of very active and nice, and I've had conversations with some of them on Twitter already myself, just from whenever you announced we were going to do the show. So thanks.
Yeah, there you go. So it's a lot of fun. So tell us a little bit about the people that are in the pictures behind your.
Oh, okay. I love history. I love magic, and I love history. So I collect posters and artifacts from old magicians. I've got Houdini and Carter and Thurston and Alexander Herman. These were magicians from kind of the vaudevillian era, the golden era of magic. And a lot of the illusions we perform today are based on things that they do. Like, for example, I put a new illusion in my show a month ago, or I guess in December, a couple months ago. And it was based on one of Houdini's most famous illusions, but we perform it much more modern and faster speed and different than he did, but it still has a foundation in what Houdini was most famous for.
Absolutely, which is cool. Have you seen like all the different movies on Houdini?
Oh, I have, absolutely. He was really a fascinating character, and I recently finished a book where some people were saying he was actually a spy for the U.S. government.
Oh, actually. Oh, well, they said, I wrote a book on Charlie Chaplin, and they said that about Charlie Chaplin, too, that he was
Do you think he was?
I don't know if he was or not, but either way, he got penalized and punished for being one. So I'm not actually sure. I did do a documentary on it, and we just brought up the fact that he actually, was charged and believed to be, but I don't know if it's true or not. So I think it's probably true, yes, but I can't like actually say that for a fact. So sure. Same way with the same thing that you would be able to say with like a Houdini. You don't really know for sure, but you think.
Right, exactly.
So do you watch any of the magician movies? Like, did you see Now You See Me and Now You See Me?
Oh, I did.
Too?
Yeah, I thought those were really fun and kind of brought life back into magic. It's kind of going on a surge, and I think the Now You See Me films had a big support in that.
Actually, the first one. I thought the first one was fantastic, awesome.
Absolutely.
It's got a great cast
and
everything. The second one was a little bit weaker. I didn't like the girl in the second one as much as the girl in the first one, even though she was in True Blood and I liked her a lot. But the second one, the story line was a little bit weaker than the first one.
I agree. But that's the case for most sequels across the board.
Absolutely. Oh no, you gotta love it. Well, what about do you watch shows like America? Like I watch America's Got Talent. I don't actually watch it. I watch it on YouTube, and they always have a ton of magicians and illusionists.
Yep,
some of them are really good. Some of them are really good, and sometimes I don't even get they're so good you don't even get why nobody ever knows about them. Do you ever watch those, number one? And then how did you kind of get your break? Because you kind of bypassed that, and everybody knows who you are.
I did. For me they called to try to get me to do the show quite often, and to do that I would actually have to quit working to kind of backtrack to do that, which is tough to do. But I do see it, usually not live. People will send me YouTube links or share it with me another way, and it's really great whenever there's good magic. It helps all magic shows. And again, I love magic. So if there's good magic out there, I think it's absolutely great. And how I got my break, I actually left college when I was 20 to try to do this full time. And then a couple of years after struggling, I got my first gig, and it was overseas in Japan for about 6 months. And
actually, they love a lot of American music and a lot of different things in America. So if you can, a lot of times if you break in over there, it actually, you can become a superstar over there, and people might not even know you here in America. I don't know that Nikki Hilton. I don't know if you follow gossip, but Nikki and Paris Hilton, Nikki Hilton, everybody knows who she is. But in Japan, when she shows up in a plane, thousands of people come to meet her off the plane because she's she's like a Justin Bieber or something.
Yeah, they love American pop culture for sure, and they also really love magic as a culture. It's more embedded in their mythologies of the culture as well. So magic is really a big deal for Asian cultures for the most part.
I love it. Actually, they had some really good ones on America's Got Talent. This past Britain's. I think it's Britain's Got. I don't know. I watch them.
I've heard that too. I haven't caught up. I've got a few emails I need to click on and watch. I've been traveling so busy, I haven't had a chance to. But yeah, I do look forward to catching up and seeing all the newest stuff.
There's a girl who just became runner. She was runner-up on Britain's Got Talent, and her name is Issy something. I don't even know her last name, but she was on Britain's Got Talent, and she's a magician, but she's 9 years old or something, or 8 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing stuff they were even saying, they've had people on, that are old magicians that have been doing it forever that weren't as clever as she was. Sure. I don't know how they do the different things, but it was really, really, fun. So
I look forward to seeing that. So for sure.
What do you think? Okay, so in Now You See Me, you had the Morgan Freeman character, who basically was the person, what do you call that when
kind of exposing?
Yeah, exposing all the trips. And I noticed we used to have a TV show. I don't know if we still have. Yeah, like what do you think of that kind of stuff where the people are doing that and really kind of like wrecking all the surprises?
There always will be people who do that. And as a kid, I was really into magic as a teenager, and that's when that show came out. It was very, very popular, and it made my blood boil as a kid. Now I'm not a fan of it. I think it's bad karma and just a bad. I don't think it does good. Magic is all about the mystery and the fun, and I'm honest to my audience. I say I'm going to trick you, so it's not like I'm scamming them or conning them. And they come in buying a ticket knowing that I will perform an illusion or deceive them in some way. I get paid to deceive people for a living. So for somebody to try to go and ruin the fun, it really just tries to take the magic out of it. And as a kid, I was more frustrated because the things they're exposing were more widely available, whereas now my custom illusions are more challenging, so it'd be difficult for them to expose something I do in my show now compared to what I was doing as a kid or a teenager.
I actually have a video clip. Chad, I know you were playing it, but people couldn't hear it. Can we put together the video clip?
Sure.
So I actually did your highlight reel. I pulled it off of YouTube so we could play it for everybody, and we're gonna play it. It's only 3 minutes long or something. So kind of hang out. We'll talk about it after it gets done. But how about you introduce it, Chad? Do you have it ready?
I do.
All right, you introduce it for us, Rob, and then just hang on while everybody's listening to it and watching.
So I'm pretty sure these are going to be some of the highlights from my current touring show right now. So enjoy.
Here we go. There you go. That was a nice video. Liked it.
There you go. So, you guys, that's the video highlights. You can also go to Rob Lake's, I think it's Rob Lake Magic, right? The YouTube page?
Yes, I believe so. I think it's Rob Lake Magic on Instagram and Facebook and everything.
So he's got a whole bunch of other videos. And if you go to roblake.com, then you can see all the different kinds of things he's got going on. You can also see his touring schedule, where he's going to be playing. So while I was trying to talk, but then it got too loud. So like when you're actually when you go, like you're all set up and you're ready to do the shows and stuff, do you guys have to rehearse it then every single day for the show that night?
It really depends. You know, we may not rehearse the entire show every day. Like if it's a difficult venue where everything changes and how we have to present things because of the venue, we of course will rehearse as much as we can. But if something doesn't go great, or I have an idea, or just to stay fresh, we will try to rehearse at least some elements every day, just because the show needs to be as fresh and perfected and polished as possible.
And then do you have like a bunch of like beautiful women and stuff? I saw some women in the thing, so I'm assuming that you do.
I have a wonderful team. I've got beautiful dancers who are very talented who travel with us, and a giant crew that travels with us as well.
Are you like a rock band, like that travels with like a huge 48-foot semi with all your stuff in it?
4 semi-trucks.
4 semi-trucks.
4 semi-trucks, yep. And then we will either fly in or bus in depending on the route into where we're headed.
Oh my gosh! So do you have like a tour bus that you like sleep on with beds and everything?
Sometimes we do. It just depends on the touring dates and where we're headed and where we've been.
So being an illusionist is very similar to being a rock star.
With just a lot more equipment.
Do you have like groupies then who follow you around from place to place?
Especially on social media, but I do, absolutely.
You gotta love it. Okay, so we're single, we're married, we're dating.
Very single, very dedicated to the work. I mean, I travel 90% of the year, so life is the show.
It's kind of cool though, because you could have like a different girlfriend in every town, and then just have a regular person to go see, and you wouldn't get tired of them because you would be someone different all the time.
That's right.
You gotta love it. I love that. So again, you guys, if you want to follow Rob, you can follow him at Rob Lake Magic on Twitter, or roblake.com is his actual website, and he's on social media and he's on Twitter. And actually, just go check out all this stuff because it's like really cool. So do you have a favorite trick? What's your most favorite trick to perform? Number 1 and number 2. Like how often do you add new big illusions?
Sure. Those almost go hand in hand. I create the illusions of the show, so asking for a favorite is tough because some of these have been in development for 8 or 9 years. Last summer, I put an illusion in the show that's the most difficult I've ever done, and it's every night I do it. Still the most difficult every night, and it was in the works for 6 or 7 years, and it finally made it to the show. So to pick one is kind of like picking a favorite pet or a favorite kid. It's hard to pick just one, but things that make it most exciting for me every night are the pieces that involve the audience. Even if it's a grand illusion, I bring audience members on stage to be part of the magic, just to make it more interactive, more impossible, and more of an experience for everybody. So that's probably more of my favorite style of illusions. And like I said, I just try to create them all. So we're trying to put a few new ones in this summer. But it's a work in progress, so you never really know exactly when it's going to go in the show. It's a lot of trial and error. Sometimes can take months, sometimes can take years. Lots of prototype, lots of development, lots of rehearsals, then sometimes back to square one to start over and go again.
Yeah, so you do get some that you spend lots of time on and then it just doesn't work and you have to figure it out again or drop it.
Absolutely. Oh, I try not to drop it. Sometimes it stimulates a different type of creativity and thinking.
So I have
go ahead.
I was going to say there's a question in here from Tristan, and he's in Australia,
Tristan.
He said, "What's your most proud of, if any?" Which you kind of answered when you said you did all of them, so you kind of like all of them. But then it says, "How did you balance your development between traditional illusions and developing your own signature ones?"
Sure. As a kid, it can be very costly and very, very time-consuming to create an illusion. And kind of like in music, if you go to music school, I assume you would study the principles, the foundations, the classics first before you branch out into creating your own. So magic is kind of the same way. The more readily available illusions and tricks to do are very kind of standard and classic pieces. And like I said earlier, with the thing I created based on a Houdini bit, that's developed my version of something that has its foundations in a classic piece. So I guess to answer your question, Tristan, it's always being creative and trying to come up with my own personal personality and touch of making an illusion really feel cool to me.
They actually a bunch of them were putting your Twitter handle in the chat room so they could follow you. But someone else made a comment that they liked the one where the girl gets folded up into the blanket and disappears.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I guess that must have been, since I was talking to you and I didn't actually watch the whole reel,
sure.
So I didn't actually see. That must have been one of them that was in it, right? Though
yeah, absolutely.
Is that in your highlight reel?
Based on Japanese origami, and a girl gets folded up into a small cube. So yeah,
you gotta love it. It must
Absolutely.
be really cool to know all the stuff that's going on behind to make all that stuff happen. Because whenever you see a magic act and then you look in the audience and everybody's face is so amazed and awesome and everything. And for you as the person who creates the illusion, that must be a really cool feeling to like look out at the audience and say, yeah, I did it, and look, they're all impressed, and like it really
there's
worked.
just enough glow from the stage lights where I can see the faces, and you just see even the most hardened adult has this look on their face where they just look. Anything could be possible. Just a sense of wonder. They look like a kid just for an instant. They regroup and regain themselves in composure. But just for a moment, it looks like any kind of magic could be possible. And there's this smile and twinkle in their eye. And that's one of my favorite parts of doing what I do.
I love it. I think it's fabulous. So do you like to go watch magic shows, and do you go see other people's shows when you're not performing? If you were to go out as entertainment, would you go see someone else's show?
Not really as much anymore. Sometimes I will. But usually not. I find inspiration now in other things like movies or the Disney theme parks or other attractions that are or Broadway shows or a really good concert. Things like that inspire me more than actual magic show these days. So, and also I live in theaters and I live doing a magic show. So sometimes on a day off, I may not want to go see another magic show.
Right. Well, if you were to go, would you like let them know you were coming?
It depends. I mean, that's the courtesy thing to do. It's a small world where everybody kind of knows everybody. So, I would, they would call me for comp tickets or vice versa, or if we have a mutual friend, so we'd, get in touch that way. So.
Oh, that's so funny. I was just thinking maybe I'm like devious, or I was just thinking so that way they would know you weren't there trying to like, steal whatever they're doing, because you'd be like, hey, I'm in the audience and I just came to really because I wanted to see your show,
Sure, exactly.
And you don't have to worry that it won't be in my show next week.
Right, exactly. No, I think there's a mutual respect among the industry to respect each other's things.
Oh, somebody in the chat room asked if you ever screw up. Like, do you ever like have something go totally wrong?
It's such a big machine with so many moving parts and so many people that we try to come up and brainstorm every possible contingency for what could go wrong. This way, if it does go wrong on stage, my entire team can jump to plan B or C or D and plan accordingly so the audience won't know. But sometimes things go wrong where we can't control it, like power goes out for the entire block that the theater's on. That's happened a few times in a few places. And one time the fire.
That really wouldn't be on. That's not really like on you, though. Oh well, the fire sprinkler going off could be on you if it
could be, but
fire.
But luckily it wasn't. Exactly. So no, I mean, but if you're in the middle of like levitating somebody and that happens and all the lights go out, or you have a bunch of volunteers on stage and power has an issue or something goes wrong, you've got to go through these contingencies and these plans so that you can adapt and keep the show afloat.
And do you already have contingency plans set up like in your head or whatever? Like, okay, if the lights go out, this is what I would try to do. I mean, it might not work.
It's part of the rehearsal process too. We go with, okay, if the curtain breaks or if this doesn't happen or if something goes wrong in illusion, what do? We try to go through every possible scenario with the whole team so that not only I have it in my head, but my entire staff can jump to those plans too. And the audience hopefully will never know.
Okay, so let's go off of illusions a little bit and let's go into. Okay, so you said you like to go like watch movies, and some movies are inspirational. What are some movies that have been inspirational for you, or what's your favorite movie?
Okay, that is probably the most impossible question you could ask me. I love good movies. I really do. If I had to pick one, did you see Hugo a few years ago?
Yes, I did.
That is one of my all-time favorites. It's based on a true story. In fact, almost every character and story in there is true except for Hugo himself. But it's basically a love story to movies and magic, and so that probably is one of my absolute favorites. I also, as a kid, was enchanted by the original Beauty and the Beast, the animated film, and that was a favorite. And I loved E.T. growing up. And
Did you see the new Beauty and Beast, like the live-action one? What did you think of that? It was done well.
Oh, it's done very well. I thought it was wonderful. I really, really liked it. As a side note, kind of a side business I've had for 13 years now. I've created the illusions for over 1,000 productions of Beauty and the Beast, the musical live. So from professional groups to community groups to summer stock to high schools, they will rent out our roses and magic mirrors and props.
That's cool.
So I've always loved that show. So I would have been a hard critic, but I thought the new version was fabulous and amazing, but the original is still going to be the best.
I saw that when it was in Florida, like actually the touring company and who was starring in it was the girl, I forgot her name, but the girl from The Sopranos who played the daughter on The Sopranos.
Okay.
Anyway, she was she played Belle in Beauty and the Beast in that version. She's a really good singer, so it was very enjoyable. And I also read that you also have your effects and stuff in Phantom of the Opera, a bunch of some of the Phantom Operas.
Like, a lot of these groups, now that the rights are available for groups or theaters to produce these shows, they get to the script and it says the Beast transforms or the Phantom disappears, and that's where they call us and say, okay, how do we do this? And so that's cool. Where we sell them the blueprints or consult with them or design something for them or rent them the equipment.
Well, that's like really cool. So like it's a side business that's actually pertaining directly to the business.
Absolutely. And it's, involving, brands and properties and stories and things that I really do like a lot.
I love it. Okay. Do you ever watch any horror movies? Do you like horror movies at all?
Actually, no. I get so bored in horror films.
Do you really? That's my favorite genre.
Usually, you have to admit though, they're usually pretty cheaply done, and it's not about the script or the story or the entertainment value. Usually, they're for kind of the shock value. And
absolutely.
And maybe it's the magic that I don't know. I want to be enriched or entertained or enlightened seeing a show, and horror films. I get so bored.
How about the superhero films?
Some of them I think are really, really well done. And some of them I think are a little kind of cheesy for me.
Yeah, some of them are a little bit. I see all of them, but some of them are a little bit cheesy.
Which ones do you like the best?
I actually like the X-Men, like old X-Men films.
Yes, like the early 2000s.
Not like the newer ones, but the ones that had like Patrick Stewart and everybody, like Halle Berry and all those first like 2 or 3. Yes.
X2 is probably my favorite superhero film.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
So I like those, and I kind of like the Fantastic Four, even though the movies weren't great, but just because I grew up with the Fantastic Four and I enjoyed them so much. But actually, we went and saw Wonder Woman this weekend.
Great.
Wonder Woman was really, really good. But I hated Batman. I don't know, Batman versus Superman or whatever. I thought that was terrible. Yeah. It's terrible.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. I appreciate that. So.
Yeah, don't go see that one because that one was not any fun, and Superman dies at the end. And I don't know how they. Everybody's seen it. It got panned as like one of the top 10 worst movies of 2000. I guess it came out last year, 2016 or whatever. So it was freaking like terrible, and to me it was just kind of. I didn't really like Ben Affleck as Batman in the first place, even though he did an okay job. But just the fact that that they shouldn't have made his first movie being a movie that he's fighting Superman because they're supposed to be on the same team. So
right, I think they're all good guys.
That's right. And so I really like them all that way. And I actually like the last the Captain America Civil War just because it had every superhero in it. They introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther and all the different people. And since I like the superhero stuff.
I saw Doctor Strange last year, and I thought that was great too.
That was pretty good.
I enjoyed that one more than I thought. So
I did too, and I didn't think I was going to like it at all.
Same here.
So. I wanted them to cast someone else for that, and I like Deadpool because it has a comedic element to it.
Yes, I thought that was very well written.
And I think the next Deadpool is going to have Cable, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I like any of those films like that are kind of comedic.
Yeah. It was very unexpected and smart, I thought.
So how about comedies then? Did we watch comedies? Do you like Will Ferrell movies or?
Again.
Too stupid, right?
It's too stupid, but sometimes something will be so stupid it's great. So I'm a movie snob. So if I'm going to see something, I want to really, really like it or enjoy it. So I'm trying to think of a stupid one that I did absolutely love, but because sometimes
I don't like them when they get too stupid either. Though I really don't. I like heavy duty dramas. I
mean, if it's a smart, like very, almost like a British comedy where it's very smart or witty or clever, or like Deadpool, that was a very smart comedy. I thought, very clever. So I enjoyed that kind of comedy.
So how about if they made a movie about you? Would you dig that? And if they did, who would you want to play you? Or would you want to play you?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to give the reins of your life to somebody else, but I don't know. It depends on what story we're going to tell. So I think life in show business already is daring and scary enough. So we'll see what kind of movie would come out of that.
That's a pretty long time though. You've been doing it a long time, and you've gotten a lot of great recognition. We gotta, and it's interesting to me that you said that sometimes those different shows will contact you to be on them.
Quite often, pretty much every year. So,
which to me is. I didn't really get, I don't know the inner workings of like all those shows. So I know a lot about the reality singing shows and how how they work because we've had so many of the winners and singers on the show. But I think that I never really thought about the talent shows that they actually don't just let people sign up, but they actually have to go out looking for people also.
They do. I mean, it's kind of like, remember, it's good TV. The contest is secondary to the good TV they want to produce. So they're, I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think every year they kind of go into, okay, we're looking for this kind of act and this kind of act and this kind of person. I think they're kind of casting it like almost like a scripted show is kind of my feeling from it.
Okay, so I got another question in here, and
okay.
It says, if magic's superpowers actually existed, what would your persona look like? Costume and powers inspired by who, and what would you use the powers for?
That's quite a lot of questions. Who asked that one? Who is that from?
That's from Australia also. That's from
Oh,
Tristan.
hey,
He's
Tristan
like
again.
totally digging it.
First of all, Tristan, what makes you think that magic powers don't already really exist? That's something you should. And then second, Tristan, I would probably choose flight. Human flight. And as far as costume, I would go incognito. I would go dressed as myself, incognito, because we've all seen the superhero movies where they get hunted down for having special powers, or I'd rather just be myself, who possess this cool ability to fly wherever I want without having to go through like TSA check every time.
Absolutely, you wouldn't want. You're right about that one. That's funny. Okay, I love it though. All right, everybody. So we're on the line with Rob Lake. You guys can follow him on Twitter. It's at Rob Lake Magic. His website is roblake.com, and he's going to be. Tell us where you're going to be again.
I will be at Harrah's Lake Tahoe this summer, June, July, August. So come see us there, and follow my website or social media for our upcoming dates for the fall.
There you go. And we also want to thank. I forgot who set this. Is it Steve Levine?
Steven set us up for us. So thanks, Steven, if you're listening.
That's right. So if you're listening, thank you so much. And we want to thank you for coming on the show. Wish you all the success in everything that you've got going on. I think it's phenomenal. Congratulations with all of that. And we want to thank you for coming on the show, and keep us posted with what's going on, and we'll bring you back.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
What do you think, Chad? Pretty fun, right?
Very cool. What an awesome little video reel he has set up there. That was nice.
Yeah. Isn't it really nice? That's why I wanted to make sure we played it so everybody could see, since it's hard to get. We can't get him doing anything on the show for us.
Right, that's true. Well, we could have.
So that way, well, yeah, maybe we could have, but it might have been difficult. So that way, by actually showing it, I think we get to work it out much better.
Perfect.